Why can't we go back to the good old days? Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 gaming trends that pissed everyone off.
Bad news. The processor shorted out. I'm getting an image, but no coordinates. I'm out of ideas here.
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we'll be looking at the trends and innovations that the majority of the gaming public has some serious problems with.
Oh, good. You're here.
Number 10. Binary moral choice systems. Morality is an incredibly difficult subject to cover, so much so that even the greatest minds today are still trying to figure it out.
You're working too hard.
So the fact that so many games, like Infamous for example, boil down morality to either you're an angel sent from heaven or you're pretty much Satan himself is a bit disappointing. There's no moral gray area for these games, and more often than not, you get punished for not adhering to a singular moral path. Why can't dialogue choices have more nuance to them? Hopefully one day, we'll have a game that does moral choices right.
You set us up!
Number 9. Perpetual early access. Some might claim that early access in general is a bad practice, due to players giving money to something that is essentially incomplete. While the idea is interesting, to help fund the development of the game and to get to play an early version, there's a serious problem regarding games that just never come out of early access. Sometimes you'll get a game that's decently playable but rarely, or sometimes never, receives another update, leaving fans high and dry with a subpar product. Number 8. Open Worldification. There's nothing more exciting than being dropped into a huge world and slowly uncovering its secrets as you meander around. The problem is that there are very few games that actually nail the open world concept. There are a ton of games out there that abstain from using linear level design in favor of an open world, but don't fill that world with anything interesting. What you get instead is a boring overworld filled with quest hubs where you're pretty much railroaded onto a single path anyway. Sometimes you get to choose between different zones, but they all lead to the same conclusion.
You do not understand the true meaning of the phrase, my child. It does not grant you the freedom to do as you wish.
Number 7. Annual releases. There's no doubt that developing a game takes a lot of time and effort to pull off. The typical development time for a AAA game is anywhere from 2 to 3 years, depending on the scope of the project. However, there are some franchises, such as a certain famous first-person shooter, that has moved towards more quantity over quality. The result is only a year between sequels, each more boring, uninspiring, and glitch-filled than the last. Thankfully, some companies like Ubisoft realized this folly and have switched back to regular development times. Take your time, developers. We're not going anywhere.
Where we begin does not define who we will become.
Number 6. Games as a service. It's recently become the trend of the day thanks to the success stories like Fortnite. Big studios such as EA, Activision, and Microsoft have put a lot of emphasis on games as a service, or live services, where the player can expect to keep playing the same online game for an indefinite amount of time, thanks to things like lengthy progression unlocks and frequent DLC. However, this venture does come with a series of issues worthy of its own top 10 list, such as games launching with little to no content, balancing time commitments, and games lacking an overreaching story in favor of telling players to make their own. No thanks, we enjoy stories in games way too much.
Hey guys, what's up? Hey, what's happening?
Number 5. Microtransactions in full-priced games. Video gaming can be an expensive hobby.
We must find ways to enjoy ourselves.
Whether it's buying a new console, building a new PC, or just picking up a new release, you can expect to drop some serious cash. The fact that some games add in small purchases on top of an already expensive price tag is pretty scummy. Granted, these are optional purchases, and they tend not to be that expensive. But why can't we go back to when things like cosmetics and hidden weapons were part of the package, and were unlockable either through cheats or your own hard work? Number 4. Season Passes. The premise behind Season Passes is that you pay a certain amount upfront to access any and all future DLC that releases for a game.
San Francisco just got a lot bigger. What happens next is up to you.
Usually, the Season Pass is actually the cheaper option to get, rather than buying the DLC as they come out. But there's a certain risk involved in doing so. Sure, you're not forced to buy a Season Pass, but you're ordering bite-sized content that you're not even sure is worth it or not. Sometimes you'll get a meaningful expansion to your favorite game. Other times, you'll get a map and some skins.
It's our VIP experience.
Number 3. Exclusive pre-order content. Pre-order content is not necessarily a bad thing, as there can be good bonuses such as an early beta access or even some material goods that don't impact the core game or lock people out of the content. It's when that content is only available during the pre-order period that it becomes a problem. Even if it's just cosmetics, it's kind of a scummy move if they're not unlockable for everyone else after the fact. It gets even worse when certain bonuses are store or console exclusive, forcing you to either choose your favorite or double dip for them.
The possibilities are endless, and the choice is yours.
Number 2. Motion controls. Who wouldn't want to actually be swinging a sword or tossing a bomb rather than just pressing a button input and watching your character do it? It's a great idea on paper. But if only we actually got that instead of gimmicky games and poor detection leading to either unintended actions or no actions at all. The worst is that some consoles, like the Wii, had amazing games that were completely ruined by janky motion controls. Even the VR craze had some cool ideas, but just never really took off. Hopefully in the future, we can get that feeling of actually being our characters rather than just watching them. Number 1. Loot boxes. We all know that pain of watching that loot box explode in Overwatch only to receive 3 sprays and a duplicate skin. It's no wonder why loot boxes have such a negative reputation with the gaming community. Who wants to spend their money on a random chance? Well, a lot of people, unfortunately, which is why we see loot boxes in lots of recent online multiplayer games. Fortunately, there is hope. Recent court rulings in various European countries may soon see the death of this trend, not to mention that the overwhelming fan backlash forced some publishers to voluntarily remove this feature from their games. Power to the players. Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.